Go.
Good afternoon, ignorant millennials.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest show, Ignorant Millennials, episode number
7.
Cat, we're marching, we're pushing this
Bruh, we pushing it.
Feedback from the last episode. That was a fire episode.
Very fire one.
We've got a lot of feedback. People have a lot to say. We've learned a lot about bro code. Please share with us what else you've experienced. We've seen a lot of your stories on our platforms, and we love the people joining us and engaging with us on our platform. And yeah, so if you didn't know, we're on social media platforms everywhere. You can find us now on that simple one.
Yes, so there's a hyperlink we're gonna post at the bottom of the video. That's where you can find us. That when you click on that hyperlink, it's gonna lead you on into it's like a bookmark page. You'll find our YouTube channel, you'll find us on iTunes, you'll find us on Spotify, you'll find on Twitter, all those. So you just select the option that you want at that particular time. But we're everywhere as we say.
Yes, thank you, Kat. But yeah, Easter Monday.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
what
man.
A long weekend.
Got to rest.
Definitely, man.
How was your long weekend?
It was great. It was great. I was alone. I would have enjoyed some company, especially if you look at the weather.
Weather's nice.
Very nice. How was home?
Man, I went home this weekend. Guys, shout out to everyone who went home. Our tummies are full. I think I lost my 6-pack. But I mean, it's okay. Winter bodies is full into fake. But yeah, it was great being home. Got to see some family. We went to church, had the good Lord and good word, and being around other family members. It was quite lovely. I know a lot of people also traveled back home. How you saw things in traffic, accidents, people are still dying. Guys, please don't drink and drive. That's something that's just irresponsible. A lot of lives are becoming at risk. People are dying, and we need to just find something to reduce that.
I had my phone on my charger.
Yes.
So my phone is usually on silent. I had it on the non-silent profile. I was awaiting a phone call from you. Ken, they got me, man.
Yeah.
They got me, man. Because I saw you have some hot cross buns the morning we left.
You know I love hot cross buns, right? I told you guys, I'm like, guys, how do you live without hot cross buns? And then I see a video on YouTube. I saw a video on
Twitter. Yeah, it was on Twitter. Yeah.
It can't be that bad, right? I know, but I saw what it did to sales, right?
Yep.
So apparently you can pay, Spa, they were getting calls, people demanding it. That's the power of social media as well.
Bruh.
It took off, and now you're just gonna worry if it's in hot cross buns. What else could it be?
Yeah.
What else do you need to worry about? But if it has alcohol, or just don't drive if you're not feeling at your best.
Nah, that's very.
But it was a long drive home.
Yes,
I
couldn't go home as well. I'm from Limpopo, so you pretty much know the traffic there. Everybody's heading to Moria. Yeah,
that's like a religious cool kick club.
Yeah,
I've never seen inside it. I don't know what happens there.
I saw somebody on Twitter calling it SA's Coachella there.
Oh.
You know how Coachella happens every Easter, and so
it's the show. But I mean, a lot of people driving, a lot of cars on the road.
Yes.
And I was recently watching a documentary where he was talking about vehicle prices and the second-hand markets. And I'm wondering how many of these cars on the road are from a brand new car market or a second-hand car market. What was your experience when you bought your car? Did you do first-hand?
So I went second hand. I couldn't afford brand new. Okay. So at the time, so pretty much what happened with me, I had a dream car in mind. Yeah. Then I realized I couldn't afford that dream car. So pretty much what I did in terms of I pretty much shopped. I went to garages. Okay. I went to auctions and then I eventually ended up buying at a garage. Yeah. But what I found out is buying a car is a difficult financial
Yeah,
decision.
it's quite
I
it's
mean,
not easy.
yeah, to some, I think it comes across as easy because they just go with this is what I like or whatever.
Yes.
But there's so many different things like you need to consider because, like nowadays, you have the option of buying account residual, buying it straight, the deposit, and so forth.
There's a lot of financial
So
decisions
that one
that
needs.
go into buying a car, and a lot of people are not. You don't maybe pay attention to the
Yes.
detail
Yes.
in like
Yes.
a car finance, like
Yes.
say package that you're getting.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, in terms of even just way to look for a car. So when you're saying, or rather considering to buy a car, where do you start? Do you look at like classifieds? Do you go online and go to? I think there's cars.co.za.
That's where I started, man.
You went there as well.
That's where I started.
So you can call like your friends and ask them about dealerships. But do you think there's? Because I don't know if, because even on cars.co.za, there's some cars because a bunch of people list on the platform and the dealerships and whatnot. Some of them are dodgy as fuck.
Yes.
Like some of them, they are on cars.co.za, but they don't have like certain certifications. They're not like on certain banks' list of like approved dealerships.
Yes.
There's so many finicky things even when you are looking into that second car market, second-hand market. And I mean, like, so then what can you trust? So if I'm out there looking for a car, what should I look out for?
So there's a lot of, so let me rather maybe give you like a rundown of my experience in particular. I think you and I have different experiences in terms of purchasing. So
and I'll think I'll also touch on mine.
Yes.
And how I use it.
Yeah, so pretty much with mine, what happened is obviously cars.co.za, look there, then you're like, okay, then you'll see cars that are like hella cheap, right?
Yes.
Then there's like, obviously when you're there, you'll see cars from dealerships, like your normal dealerships that we used to, your VWs, BMWs, or whatever. Then there's those ones that are ridiculously cheap. You're like, no ways, right? Like those are like, you can tell that dealership might be Dodge or whatever. Then there is like private sellers, so that's like you and I selling.
It's like on Gumtree or something.
No, it's on cars.co.za.
On cars.co.za.
Yes, you can sell as a private seller.
As a private seller.
Yes, you can sell as a
I didn't think a lot of people knew that.
You can sell it as a private seller.
Okay.
So pretty much then obviously because of that, the prices that I found that I could afford were from private sellers. So I've always just been apprehensive about private sellers. So then what I did, then I went to a garage, looked around different garages. They were having sales and everything else. Then I still couldn't find the exact car that I wanted. So I knew myself I did not want a manual. Like that was like a big no. Like so that was a big no, and there's a lot of reasons I don't want a manual, but we'll touch on that possibly later on in the show as well. So then what happened is so I had some relatives who bought the cars from auctions. So then I went to an auction. And so I found the whole auction experience very interesting because most people think to go to an auction, you cannot go there unless you buy.
Yes.
You cannot go there to view.
You can actually go there and view it.
Yeah,
that's how you should make like how you approach all of your big finance transactions.
Yes.
Actually, you go see what the process is like. So be it car or homes or whatever. So you can understand the process.
Yes.
So sometimes you come there, it's your first time, and you go from maybe hearsay, and then you actually miss a lot of the specifics that maybe general goers would understand.
Yes.
So you went to the car auction for the first time just to get a view or understand how it works.
Yes. So I'll just name the name of one of the auction houses that I've visited.
They didn't pay him to say this.
So it's Oko. So Oko is in, what do they call this place? It's between Centurion and Midrand. What do they call that area? I forgot what it's called specifically. So that's where it's based. Okay. So I went there. As well, I was expecting just even to attend, you need to pay a fee and so forth. So you didn't need to pay a particular fee to attend and everything else. Okay. So that part, then the thing that I found out is that you needed to pay, if you intend on purchasing or auctioning, you need to pay a deposit of 5,000 rands. Now how that works is that 5,000 rands goes towards, once you bid for that particular vehicle and you actually the overall winner in that bid, it goes towards the reducing the amount that you bid for. So if the bid was 230,000, right? So then in that 230,000, the amount now that you owe the auction house is 230,000 minus 5,000. So that's practically it. So
another thing most people don't note is that at times when you are at an auction, the VAT in the transaction might not actually be included.
Yes.
So you'll be very careful to notice that when you are here, right, that 100,000 price might not include the additional VAT you might have to pay for.
Yes.
So and for me, so I got my car pre-owned, right, and then in that process, I think it's important when you go to buy a pre-owned car. Number one, that it's either it's been certified by maybe a reputable I don't know, provider of assurance when it comes to second-hand cars. But what's important to check, and even if you can go with a person who can shop with you, for example, just a general inspection of the car. For example, you look at the tires, right? Look at the tire thread of the car. Understand, for example, this car make that you're having, that you're about to buy, is the car brand that's on the car now the same as what this car normally has, right? That way you can evaluate whether the value of this car is in line with everything attached to it. You go around, you look at the windows, you roll them up. Just check the finer details when you are buying a second-hand car. That you would miss with the naked eye.
So that's very true. Especially so, even when you buy a second-hand car, one of the important things must be approved by the AA. I think it's called Jackra Roadway Test. So that needs to be there. There needs to be that sticker there on. They need to give you the certificate. There's an actual certificate as well. They need to give you for that, because that certificate is very actually important as well for your insurance, because your insurance needs to see that the vehicle that you're insuring is also roadworthy as well. And so another thing actually also at the auction that obviously at an auction as well. The auction, although there's an auction day, let's say the auction day is on the Saturday, you can view the vehicle the prior day. They have a viewing date, so it's not some of them is prior day or some of them is 2 days before. You go there, you inspect the vehicle and so on and so forth. So best if you have a friend or you know a mechanic, go there with a mechanic and so forth, test everything else, and whether, so even at the auction they will disclose if the car is so they have non-runners are vehicles that are like non-runner, it speaks for itself basically, the engine is dead or whatever. Then they have the rest of the cars are just normal cars. So, and usually at these auctions there's repossessed cars, repossessed vehicles that they're selling. So
there's a lot of options and methods and areas where you can find cars to potentially buy. And we were talking earlier about, like, let's say you're getting X amount of salary a month, and there's a car that you are really looking at buying. So how do you decide, for example, how much you can afford to buy a car? Because I know how each of us will look at it differently, right? And that's the topic that we spoke about. Because it cannot be the fact that in your salary, the installment you get can fit in there and you can be comfortable. Because that's not the only variable you should be considering. There's still your savings, there's still your accommodation, there's still your normal living expenses and investing. I mentioned saving earlier. And that's the bigger picture through which you should be looking at how much you can actually afford on your car. Because in addition to say the installment, there's the petrol. There are potential repairs for maybe tires. There are so many other additional costs when you must buy a car. And that's just outside of the car itself, just in your personal set of finances. And we talked about how people should consider maybe managing that. And we came up with a nice theory on that.
So generally, in terms of even when you buy a vehicle, the maximum amount I would advise anybody is that in terms of buying a vehicle is that it should not, the maximum repayment, right? So whatever car you want, it must be based on the repayment. So for example, if you want a Polo and they tell you the repayments on a Polo is 7,000 rands per month, right? So, and you earn 18,000 rands, right? net, that's more than a third of your salary, right? So it's just slightly over a third of your salary. So for me, that is a bit of a problem, because if that's just the car repayment, you still have insurance and whatever. So I'd say the maximum amount, I would advise anybody personally, is that in terms of any vehicle you purchase, is that it must not exceed a third of your net salary.
Yeah.
Because there's other expenses you need to take into account. So for example, the reason for the third is as well, when you buy property as well,
Yes.
usually the amount that the bank will approve you for will be a third of the maximum amount. They will approve you for a third of your net salary as well.
Okay.
So pretty much those two so you get it. So you have 1/3 for car, at most, we're not saying you must utilize the most.
Yes.
So at most you have 1/3 for your car, 1/3 for your house. Then pretty much the other third is so like, that's the worst. That's bad money management. If you're buying a car that you're spending a third. That's bad management.
That's bad management.
Because it should be less than a third.
And you know what's even scarier when you determine, for example, so now that's the first layer. So you're looking at now your repayment, what you can afford as an installment.
Yeah.
But you know it's a bigger issue that maybe underlies that, but at the naked eye, or to a less informed person who might not pick it up, is the residual.
Oh my
they put
God.
in cars. And that's where they get you, you know. You'll see the ad, right? You show the nice car, then they'll show you the installments, and then there's a bunch of like fine print written at the bottom, and that's the residual.
Yes.
So the residual is like a balloon payment or portion of the actual cash price of the vehicle, whatever you buy, right? So now in determining your actual installment, this huge chunk is not considered. So now you're paying all these payments per month, and you've determined that on your own affordability, right? But there's this huge chunk that if you don't read properly, you're liable for.
Yes.
Over the course of you paying for this, or at the end of the term of the contract.
Yes.
And that's where I think we should be talking about how when young people, or just any of us really, when you're entering certain contracts, either make sure you read it a bit closer and with more detail, or ask someone who might know more on the subject to help you read it. Because if I know a little bit about something but not so much, I can reach out to you and say, hey Kat, I'm about to enter this document, this agreement, just read it for me and tell me anything I should look out for. And that's where you should start. If you are going to enter a contract with the residual, I think you should plan around it. I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing per se.
100%, because when you speak about that, like I wanted a BMW, like 1 Series.
That was the first car I wanted.
The thing is, I bought my car like late after working, so it was that thing that like, oh well, like I went like, I cannot now have like an ordinary first car. Like,
you had to show them.
Like that. No, it's not to show. It's not about them or whatever. Like it was about at this particular age. This is the car that I wanted to have been driving or whatever. So I remember they had a 1 Series, right? 1 Series was like, speaking on the residuals, it was like they were like, you pay 4,000 rands a month. I was like, oh my God, this is a great deal.
It was amazing.
Like amazing. Go there, get to the dealership, like 4,000 rands. Then they don't tell you 4,000. The picture they usually even show you, they show you this like they'll show you the 1. They won't show you the 118. They'll show you maybe 130. Then it'll be like 4,000 rand per month.
But
and
it's
you see this car with all the finishes. Then you get there, it's like, then they tell you no. Then they tell you, oh, one of the other conditions to this is that you have a mileage limit.
Yes.
Right.
Is that the agility finance package?
Yes. So
that's
for Mercedes.
This is just a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all similar. Most of these residual contracts. So then, what they do. So, like for example, I know with BMW, like you only after that 2 years or 3 years you must have driven less than 60,000 kilometers. So then now, if you know you drive less than 20,000, great, take that deal. Maybe if it makes sense. But the other thing is that you know after 3 years in actual sense you're returning the car, so it's a lease. It's basically
Yes.
there's no difference between you and you renting a car basically, if anything else, because you have to return it after 3 years. Because if you don't return it after 3 years and under that mileage, there's no what they call a guaranteed future value amount, whatever. They won't take it. So that guaranteed future value amount, they're telling you after 3 years we're gonna buy it back from you for this particular amount. So yeah, if you don't meet those terms, you're basically screwed. So it's if you know yourself, you have no intention of owning a car for a very long time, and you always want to drive the trendiest car and latest model, great, then that's the package for you. But you will potentially find yourself paying changing cars forever. But if you don't change after the 3 years, you're gonna be screwed in terms of basically the residual amount itself. At the end, you're gonna pay a hell of a lot of amount of money.
Guys, read the fine print. If you're about to enter, we've now been saying throughout the show, read the fine print of all the documents that you enter. And because another one very closely linked to buying a car is insurance, right? The car insurance, right? Those are additional costs that you have to consider in buying a car. And even within insurance itself, you know, there's HIPAA out there.
Yes.
There are insurance policies linked to maybe your parents or yourself, be it through like a Discovery or Old Mutual and whatnot. But there's also insurance brokers. And that's where we personally benefited from having. So look, I mean, you about to get a car, you're in the market, you're calling all these insurance houses, you're getting like a quote on what like your insurance should be, and it's like you find at times it's 2/3 of your car installment.
Yes.
So like what?
I know a guy who was
Like,
quoted.
Same as his installment.
Yeah, it was actually greater than his installment.
It's greater.
Yeah. So
wait, D-Mac, guys, you know he's always hiding at the back.
Yo.
Didn't you have an insurance similar quote?
Yeah, they quoted me 5.5 for a car I'm paying 4.5 for.
That's ridiculous.
And then they gave me an excess of 20,000.
Oh my word.
So even if you told them that my installment is less than what you're quoting,
then they dropped the call.
what the hell is that? we got an insurance broker now. Shout out to our insurance broker.
Yeah.
We're paying ridiculous amounts. I feel like this like shouldn't be okay.
Yeah, because specifically about your point there, that's why I say that when you buy a vehicle, the maximum must not exceed 2/3. I mean 1/3 of your net salary is that.
So even the cost of insurance falls within that.
No, it doesn't. It does not. Yeah. So the reason why I say that is because if you're a millennial and if you're under 25, or even if you're after below 30, right? So you're most likely at the very least, right? So if you're gonna buy a vehicle and you want the least excess, right? You most likely the minimum amount you're gonna depart with is 1.5, and this could be for like a big country.
This is how you're saying like in general the lowest excess would be 1.5.
The lowest excess would be like 2.5. That's the lowest excess you can find.
Okay. We're doing with the premium with the excess.
So the premium is what 1.5. That's the premium that you pay monthly, right? So
because with premiums and access, normally the way insurance houses will let you structure it is that the higher the premium you're willing to pay, they can lower the access, which you obviously then pay should you enter into like an insurance related incident, and vice versa.
No, 100%, 100%.
But I mean, I know there's I think Discovery has like packages where you can pay zero access.
Yes.
It's a very decent premium as well.
Yes. No, that's there. That exists. But like, if you've been realistic, when you buy a vehicle and you're between the ages of 20 and 30, you most likely at minimum subconsciously, if you want to live at peace, say you're gonna part away with 2,000 rand, unless you want a ridiculous excess. So that for me never makes sense if you would want an excess of like 10k.
But what if
you are getting into an accident, do you have that 10k in your pocket? So,
I think let's have an insurance show. So we're gonna have an insurance show, right? In the show, we're gonna maybe even touch on life insurance, because right now we should also be considering.
Definitely
talking about how.
I think we'll bring an expert.
We'll bring an expert.
Yeah,
let's bring an expert.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll touch on car, home insurance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So now that we've, for example, touched on cars, a lot of the guys we know, they're also looking to buy the new homes,
Yes.
either to live in or to invest in.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I recently went to, the three of us went to
Yeah.
one of those shows, those
Yeah.
property talks.
Yeah, it's a property talk hosted by Euphonic. I think he has them once a
Shout
month
out
or
Euphonic.
something.
We loved that show. We loved that session. Like I
Yeah.
learned so much.
Well,
But
it was very insightful.
What to
It's
consider.
very insightful. And I think the other thing that was just so inspiring as well
Yes.
is that there were a lot of millennials.
there was a
Like
lot of
the crowd was the millennials.
individuals
Yeah.
who are really,
Yeah.
like, we're talking about
Yeah.
earlier about buying
Yeah.
like flashy things and
Mm.
things that don't even mean substance. Then you consider like,
Yeah.
what can you do that's
Yeah.
more responsible with
Yeah.
your money?
Yeah.
Then people are looking into buying houses and homes.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
now it's not just to live in, right?
Yeah.
So we remember one of the guys we considering
Yeah.
to buy it and invest it or
Mm.
maybe buy it to flip it out. But that whole session that Euphonic and him did, it just catered for everyone. I would encourage everyone if you can,
Yeah.
try to like look out and sign up for it.
Yeah.
But what I liked, and I think you also share with me, like he covered like a bunch of things to consider when you're looking to go buy a house.
100%.
Well, one of the most basic ones is like go there at night and actually experience the place you want to buy at night. Is there noise? Are there like electrical issues that maybe happen at night? What is that environment like at night? Because you're not considering it. Go to the police station, find out about the crime rates in the area, the municipality, because the value of your property is
Yes.
also linked to the development around it as well. So if you go to a municipality, you get to find out the future plans. They might want to build a mall, maybe down like the road from you, which might suck depending on how close it is.
Yeah.
But go to these institutions and areas and find out the information that will best inform
Yes.
the value of the house you want to
Yeah.
buy.
Because when we got there, I remember like as I was talking about the millennials.
Yes.
We're there. One of the first questions he asked, who has bought the property? So then a large percentage of the
Yes.
audience had bought property. So I was sitting there like, oh my word, can these couches just swallow me in?
Because you haven't bought yet.
Yeah.
And you fall in there
Yes.
like, now it's time for you
Yes.
to be buying something.
Yes. So I felt like, oh my word, already like I'm behind life or
Yes.
I've made bad decisions, I'm gonna get judged. But pretty much what I found out is that like
So
from the talk itself is that there's no pressure.
Yes.
Like there is no pressure. I'm not sure if I'm looking directly at the camera. There is no pressure. I
None.
repeat, for you to buy a house.
Doesn't mind.
Because you need to buy a house according to the need that you have. Is it for
Yes.
investment purposes or is it for you staying in? And even in investment purposes, not you buying a property and whatever. And it's a new, even if it's a new estate and you buying there doesn't necessarily necessitate an investment. There's different things you need to consider.
Yes.
Like
Rated taxes.
There is, yes.
Like above and beyond the
Yeah.
bond repayments, there are rates and taxes.
Yeah.
There are transfer costs.
There is.
There's so much to consider when you're
Yeah.
buying a home.
But transfer costs are not on newly built developments.
And that's a
before. Yeah.
distinction,
Yeah.
right? So when you are buying, say, from a brand new house being developed, so
Yeah.
we're in the north of Gauteng, north of Joburg region, where we see a lot of new developments
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And if you buy from those people,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay the transfer costs that come with maybe when you're buying a home or an apartment that was
100%.
previously owned by someone else. But then there's also levies
Mhm.
that you do pay when you're in a complex.
100%. And those are like.
Yes.
So your levies obviously are for your estate, for the garage to be cut, for
Yes.
them to paint outside, for the security, for the pool to be
pool.
cleaned, and everything else. But yeah, those are like those fees. There's no way you can escape them. And
Yes.
even so, the other thing as well, even when you have those levies, if you fail to pay them,
Yes.
right? Because those you pay directly to the body corporate, yeah, there can be a judgment held against you. So
Guys,
what I
pay those
found
things.
is from going to property auctions,
Yeah.
you can end up actually with your house repossessed as a result. Because I saw these niggas who owe like 40, 100,000 on levies. You like,
Yes.
so you never paid a single levy since you
And
moved
you see
there.
those people like getting like stuck outside.
Yes.
They shut them out.
Oh my.
Like you just like, and that's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah,
right?
that is. So yeah, so I learned quite a lot, like especially from
And we're not
buying-
even properly experts.
yeah.
And we don't claim to be, but these are things that you should be considering. If you're gonna buy a house, you should at least know the minimum what we just said and a lot more.
Yeah.
Because that's a long-term decision.
Yeah, so and as well, especially in terms of a house, the other thing that I learned is, but you should, if you're buying a house, you must go for what they call a flexi bond.
Oh yes,
Like
those are amazing. So we're gonna try to explain what they are.
yeah.
Like we're gonna do our best.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like very basic.
Mm-hmm.
So how they explain it to us, right? So if you have R1 million, right, and you sit with your desire to purchase a home or property, whatever it is for. So you could at the purchase price of that R1 million of the house or property, you could pay it, and then now you still have the burden of running your costs on this property on your own. Or you could, that flexi bond, right, use that to purchase the house and then take the R1 million that you have and then place it into this flexi bond account. So it nets off to zero. So effectively, you have then the facility of R1 million still, and you now have still bought the house. So you're sitting with the house and your cash. So that's like at a basic level, and people can just tell us more about it if we missed it. What did you think about it?
So actually, at the flexi bond, so I've worked at a bank before, so it's actually what I found out is that like that's how most people, especially of other races, buy their houses. They buy it on flexi because I mean the advantage of buying on flexi as well is that you can just the smart way is you can reduce your interest in that because you get a bonus, you chow your bonus in there, you deposit your full bonus into that account, right? So then obviously, your interest is based, it's on a running value, a running balance. So obviously your running balance will be less, right? So then the interest potentially now that you're paying or owing to the bank is less, right? So then in the event that you yourself having a tough month, right, and you've been overpaid, you can now extract from that.
So it does
give
give you
sitting there.
So it does give
that
you
money
freedom.
is yours. It's not the bank's. The banks who got that money is yours. So you can draw that cash.
So it gives you the freedom to just use your own money.
Yes.
And I think we've discussed now quite a lot.
Yes.
There's so much when it comes to buying a house. So much when it comes to buying a car. It's not a simple decision. And I think just reach out to people, ask them how considering buying a car, what I should consider, and let's teach more people and let us learn more about how it's done.
No,
Thank you
definitely.
for the chat today.
Definitely. I would actually advise that, especially if you've not been to that euphonic property.
Yeah, please go to that.
Please go there.
Please go to that.
I think you can hit him up on his Twitter handle.
Twitter, Instagram. Just get in there. Find a way to watch or attend.
Because what we've done,
we give you food too.
Yeah, we've touched pretty much high level. Like it's very, very high level.
There's a lot more
that's discussed over there, so you find it very insightful.
If they want like maybe a deeper insight, we can record or do like a proper talk.
Yeah,
and we like break it apart. Even if we're not experts, maybe we can bring in an expert.
And maybe we can hit up before he comes out.
Guys, thank you for watching today. Enjoyed our chat today.
Thank you very much.
We hope you guys saw our jingle in the beginning.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. And if you can help us with it, that'd be great too.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Millennials.
Shout out.